Councillors, welcome to this special council meeting. I'd like to declare the council meeting open at 1 p.m. To begin with, we the Greater Shepparton City Council begin today's meeting by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land which now comprises Greater Shepparton. We pay respect to their tribal elders, we celebrate their continuing culture and we acknowledge the memory of their ancestors. Item number 2, the privacy notice. This public meeting is being streamed live via our Facebook page and made available for public access on our website, along with the official minutes of this meeting. All care is taken to maintain your privacy. However, as a visitor in the public gallery, it is assumed that your consent is given in the event that your image is broadcast to the public. It is also assumed that your consent is given to the use and disclosure of any information that you share at the meeting, including personal or sensitive information, to any person who accesses those recordings or minutes. Item number 3, councillors, we do have some apologies. Would the council please like to move the recommendation on page 1 to note the apology of Councillor Hazelman and Councillor Adam?
Happy to move that, Madam Mayor, that the recommendation on page 1 that the apology from Councillors Adam and Hazelman be noted and leave of absence granted.
Thank you, Councillor Giovanni. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Abdullah. We'll now go to the vote. All those in favour? Motion carried unopposed. Councillors, do we have any declarations of conflicts of interest to be declared today? No. We'll now go to item 5.1 on page 2, which is the financial statements and performance statement for year ended the 30th of June 2018. The recommendation is also on page 2. As I said, would a councillor like to move a motion?
I'll move the motion, Madam Mayor.
What would you like to move, Councillor Patterson?
The recommendation on page 2, I won't read it out.
No, that's fine.
It won't quite long. It's quite up on the board for anyone in the audience who wants to have a look.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second that, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Giovanni. Councillor Patterson, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, it's very detailed, as we can all see. I'd like to congratulate our auditors, who we have great confidence in. Jeff Cobbleduk, who chairs it, John Collegia and Graham Jolly, who I've been on that audit committee with them. They're very thorough, and if they can't find a cent that's missing, I've got no chance. They do a great job. I'd also like to congratulate Matt Jarvis on the work he's done on the finances for the year, and I'd now like to, if we could, call on our Financial Director, Chris Teitzel, to run us through the report.
Thank you very much. Chris, would you like to do that?
Sure. There's not too much to say about the purpose of this report, other than we've had to bring this forward due to the caretaker period that's about to hit us in a few weeks' time with the state government election. So the Victorian Auditor General's Office has asked us to fast-track getting the financial statements done, which, to Matt and his team's credit, we've managed to do. The financial statements have gone through the Audit and Risk Management Committee. They've been audited by external auditors, and the audit finding is that everything's in accordance with the accounting standards in the Local Government Act. In terms of the financial statements themselves, the end result for Council is better than budget, in a large part due to the early receipt of the financial assistance grant. That's the federal grant money. We received half of that in advance and in the end, towards the end of last financial year, and that's reflected in the financial statements now operating position. There was a fairly major adjustment to the valuation for land under roads. The methodology recommended by the state government resulted in a very large amount of write-down in that value, to the tune of in excess of, I think, of $120 million, $125 million. That's also reflected in the operating statement and makes the end operating result after those sorts of adjustments look fairly ordinary. But the true operating position of Council was in front of budget. Materials and services was another area where we performed better than budget as well, due in part to efficiencies, but also in relation to some other work that we did in-house rather than using external contractors and just being tight on our controls. You've had reports on the ending capital expenditure a few weeks ago. You'll be aware that we didn't hit our budget and our targets on that. That result, in combination with the better performance in the operations, means that our cash balance and therefore our working capital ratio or our liquidity ratio was ahead of budget as well. We expect that to normalise over the next 12 to 18 months as we catch up on some of the unspent capital works program, and certainly with the further expenditure on Cosgrove 3 and the SAM project as that starts kicking off in earnest this year. We'll spend some of that money.
For that, Councillor Giovannetti, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just concur with what Mr Teitzel has already mentioned. I've had a brief opportunity to go through the financial reports, and Council is in a very healthy financial position moving into the 2018-19 financial year. I, like Councillor Patterson, would like to thank the Finance and Audit Subcommittee, but I'd also like to add that Mrs Anne O'Connor is also a member of that committee, and we thank her as well as the other members that Councillor Patterson mentioned.
Thank you very much, Councillor Giovannetti. Would any councillor like to speak against the motion? Would any councillor like to speak to the motion? Okay, we'll now go to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried, unopposed. So, councillors, that's all we have on the agenda today for this special meeting. I'd now like to declare the council meeting closed at 1:05. Thank you very much.